UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli, and this is another episode of our UFO investigation, or ongoing UFO investigation, because the phenomena is real, burgeoning, and not going away. And we'll get into this, but first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Drug makers have paid a popular DNA ancestry app millions to access consumer DNA. For the price tag of a whopping $20 million, a pharmaceutical company will gain access to a vast collection of consumer DNA information. Folks, this is why tens of thousands use Virtual Shield 1 to protect their data. Virtual Shield 1 is an all-in-one security suite with an industry-leading VPN, the ability to help erase your online data from data mining sites, and identify protection that includes up to a whopping $1 million identity theft insurance policy. Now is the best time ever to get Virtual Shield 1, because every new sign-up gets a 60-day risk-free trial plus several other free bonuses. Get a free trial today by going to Virtual Shield /LA and the number 1. Once again, www.virtualshield/LA and the number 1. Interestingly enough, this is not on the major Fox News network. This is something else. But I got this, and I want to run this by you, and we'll walk through it together and look at this. So this came out last week. Check it out. And we're talking about the headline is Lawmakers Push Biden Administration for Data on UFOs. So I am a sky. That's special report from Fox News. And what's interesting about this is, and you got to pay real close attention, because they show very quickly the representatives who were part of this committee to try to find out about UAPs, UFOs, and they're being stonewalled. They're not finding anything. But I want to talk specifically about what Anna Paulina Luna states towards the end of the clip. So here we go.
Congressional correspondent Chad Pergram reports tonight on the latest briefing for lawmakers today.
Stonewalled once again.
I just wasted time.
There's a concerted effort to conceal as much information as possible.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the NSA.
Bipartisan frustration over what lawmakers say could be a government cover-up about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. House Oversight Committee members hoped Intelligence Community Inspector General Thomas Monheim could explain the unexplainable at a classified briefing. But lawmakers say they aren't hearing from the people who really know what's out there.
They send us bureaucrats who don't know on purpose.
Others disagreed about the briefing.
This one actually moved the needle.
Moskowitz says lawmakers learned more this time about claims made at a hearing last year by UAP whistleblower and former Air Force intelligence officer David Grush. Grush contends the government's hiding spacecraft from someplace else and non-human remains. Lawmakers are trying to dissect Grush's allegations.
Grush never said extraterrestrial or alien. He said interdimensional.
You said interdimensional. I mean, what does that term, is this something that bends time and space?
He said interdimensional. He refused to use certain terms.
The inquiry comes as bipartisan lawmakers write legislation enabling commercial and civilian pilots to report strange things they see up above without being shunned.
They had nowhere to report or feel safe in being able to report these occurrences.
Fox is told what pilots see could be technology from top secret government programs. Lawmakers can't tell what's from this world or perhaps from out of this world. Right?
All right, Chad. Thank you.
Okay, let me stop right there. This is what's incredible. Anna Paulina Luna talked about, we have to listen very carefully what David Grush is saying. And Grush said that these entities are interdimensional. This is our wheelhouse. I've been talking about this, folks, literally for decades, well over 30 years now. And mostly on deaf ears, but that's okay. Those who have ears to hear can hear. These are not extraterrestrials from some faraway galaxy. They are, in fact, interdimensional entities. They are, as Jacques Vallée states in his book, messengers of deception. There is a breeding program that is going on. We've got the answers. We have the answers. We have 8 films in our series. 9 and 10 will be out probably late February. And I get all that, say all that to get to this. You know, here are the latest Roswell films Roswell exoneration, and of course in the debris field. And we actually found 2 pieces of metal. So in our opinion, this metal was tested. Let me back up here. The metal was tested, and in our opinion, it's not something that just fell out of the sky, or did it? In other words, it's an aluminum alloy that wasn't created till 1953. And as we show in the film, it's down 4, 6, 8 inches below the surface. And once again, from white sands, there's a craft that comes in like this. It hits the ground and it explodes. So in our opinion, the Army didn't get all the pieces because these are very small pieces, and they shot out from the craft as the craft exploded like a bullet out of a gun and embedded itself in the earth. So the guys are just, the Army guys are on their hands and knees. That explains the lost buttons that we talk about in the field, but they don't get it all because some of it is 4 to 6 to 8 inches below the surface. And that's what we discovered. And we tested the alloy, and it's an aluminum alloy from the 6000 series that wasn't invented until 1953. And it's not an exact match. It's close to that, but it's not an exact match. So what's an aluminum alloy doing 4 to 6 inches below the ground? And you know, the crash happens in 47. That alloy wasn't invented until 53. It's not an exact match. And as we show in the film, we took drone shots, and I want to thank my business partner, Gil Zimmerman. Gil did a great job with the drone, and we worked very hard on this film. And I also want to thank Chuck Sikowski for also being there, guiding us out to the field. And Frank Himbler had been going back and forth to the debris field for a period of time, and he found over 20 samples, but it takes a long time to find the samples. He's out there with a metal detector. We found 2 samples on camera, and it's in the film. So I want to thank Chuck Sikowski, who was our co-producer on that film. And of course, I want to thank Frank Himbler for being out there with the metal detector. And Frank says, once again, that this was only the second time in like 10 or 12 years that we actually found something on film. When we do that, and we just, you know, we prayed up before we got out there, folks. And we asked the Lord to show us and give us favor. And that was Jim Peterson and Gil Zimmerman and myself. The 3 of us prayed in the debris field. We prayed before, but once we got to the debris field, we prayed also. And once again, the drone footage shows that the debris field literally is in the middle of nowhere. It's absolutely in the middle of nowhere. Metallurgists have looked at the metal that we extracted from the ground. It's undergone some sort of a cataclysmic, very violent event. And the metal shows fatigue and burn marks, and also under a scanning electron microscope, it looks like a bullet pierced the metal and then explodes out the back end. So something very violent and happened to this metal, and we found it, and of course it's in our Roswell films. Something is going on. This is the coming great deception that I've talked about for decades. It is the coming great deception. It's being rolled out with a managed agenda. There's no doubt in my mind about that. These are not extraterrestrials from some faraway galaxy, okay, like Zeta Reticuli or Epsilon Eridani, Gary Stearman's favorite constellation. These are interdimensional entities which have an agenda, and that agenda is a breeding program. Now, I can get into that, but I'm not going to. I suggest you watch the cattle mutilation film, which is number 6 in our ongoing series. 7 and 8 are on Roswell. 9 and 10 will not be out. What is the Truth will not be out until a little later, probably early March, late February, sometime in that window. So there is a breeding program. This hails back to the Genesis 3:15 narrative. It also corresponds to Daniel 2, verse 43. Their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button down below. I want to thank all of our folks that have sown into our ministry, for lack of a better term, but they've donated to what we do, and we use that to get out and to film. And we've got 2 projects this year, which will happen in September. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Remember, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away.
Nightline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago.
The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucer. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brizzell was the man who discovered the saucer. Colonel William Blanchard of the Roswell Air Base refuses to give details of what the flying disc looks like.